Welcome back to the channel, everybody. In this week's video I'm going to be looking at the Potensic Atom 4K. So in my last video, as you may well have noticed, I did review the Potensic Atom SE, which subsequently was sent straight back to Amazon for one reason only, and that was because the camera itself was too shaky because it didn't have a gimbal. This is the Potensic Atom 4K. As you can see, this does have a fully functioning 3-axis gimbal, and I am going to be going through the functionality of this gimbal, a little brief review video of the drone because I've not flown it enough yet to give a full overview of all of the settings and everything that features on the drone. But this is the Potensic Atom 4K. Okay, so there are some differences between the SE and the full 4K Atom by Potensic, and the first thing to notice is that when you get out the box, it has a gimbal protector. That is because this drone has a fully functioning gimbal. For those of you who don't know what a gimbal is something that is used to steady a camera that is being used for anything motion-wise. So on the likes of a drone, the drone's flying through the air, it's affected by the wind and everything else. If you don't have a gimbal built into the camera will simply shake with the drone and you won't get any stable footage. So it's very good this one comes with a gimbal. I'll be going through some sample footage with you shortly to show you how the gimbal operates and how well it does in windy conditions, etc, etc. Well, the other nice thing that comes with this drone that doesn't come with the SE is the strap that goes around, which keeps the propeller blades and the wings and the arms quite nicely compacted whilst it's in storage. So I can just remove that really quickly and then that becomes ready to open as well. And the gimbal protector just really simply slots off the drone like that. Okay, so here's the drone in fully ready to go mode. Okay, the arms are folded out and the camera is open and ready to go. Obviously it's not switched on, so the camera's just flopping around, but as you can see there, you can see the gimbal is quite sort of effective, but it's not activated at the moment, so it's quite floppy. But when it sort of switches on, it will operate and go and sort of like flip and then steady itself. So it is a gimbal and it does operate as a gimbal, and we'll get into whether it's any good very shortly. Okay, so like I did with the SE, I bought the Creator Combo set. This cost me £300 in total, and the nice thing about it is it comes with the case. Not only the case, it comes with 3 batteries and a battery charging pack, which is very handy because you can charge all 3 batteries in one. It also gives a battery indicator light showing which level the batteries are at, and it's just a very nice bit of kit. And they charge through this as well, and you can also plug in the controller via USB to charge that through this device as well. So all very sort of convenient, and that goes into the case. You also get the controller itself, which is just right here, and you pull your controller out and your phone goes in there. I've got quite a thick phone. I've got the Galaxy Z Fold 5, and it does fit in there fine. It's a little bit tricky because it's quite a thick phone because it's a foldable phone, but it does go in quite nicely. I do have to take the back case off, but I don't mind, that's fine. You've got the little controller knobs slotted in the bottom there that just screw in to the controller, and you know what, it's quite a nice controller. It feels like just like the SE. It's the same controller as the SE actually. So I've already reviewed the controller, but it's quite a nice one, and it just feels like a PlayStation pad. And the antennas obviously stick up there, and you point these towards the drone as you're flying. And there's multitude of different controls on there. I'll go through them in another video. This is just a sort of unboxing and quick review and quick flight video. But the bag does hold everything. It does come with spare propellers and all the other things you need, spare screws, a screwdriver. I've already had to replace the propellers as well. I'll go through that in a minute because I did crash the drone on the second flight that I took it on. And as you can see here, the propellers did break, but I replaced them really easily, and there's 2 spare sets that come with the drone package. Okay, bringing our attention back to the drone itself. So in terms of the actual physical looks of the drone, it's very similar, and pretty much in fact exactly the same as the Potensic Atom SE, which I did return. It's a nice looking thing. It does obviously resemble the DJI drones. It's probably just an imitation copy, but as you can see, it's quite well made. Everything feels, you know, sort of sturdy. It's obviously plastic because that's the way it's so light. It's under, I think it's 240 grams with the battery in. So it's quite light, way under the 250 mark that it needs to be in order to fly as an amateur. On the bottom, you've got the, you know, the ground detectors there that can detect the ground level and take off a landing. It doesn't have any sensors around it or anything like that to have obstacle avoidance on it, but it is only a cheap drone, so obviously, you know, wouldn't expect that at this level. Got the on button there, and obviously the camera we've looked at with the gimbal, and obviously when you switch the drone on, in fact, you know what, I'll put a battery in and we'll switch the drone on so you can see the gimbal actually coming into stable mode, because when it's switched off, obviously you can't see the gimbal in action. So I'll switch it on, battery's inserted. There we go, the drone's now on, and you'll just see the gimbal just rotates a little bit, flips around, and then there we go, steadies itself. And as you move the drone, you can see the gimbal just stays steady. It does sometimes take a bit of flipping if I do too sudden. And I'm not flying here, I'm just holding it in my hand, but you can see when the drone turns left and right, the gimbal stays nice and steady. And so, unlike the SE, where you turn the camera, the gimbal would turn with it. So when you're flying on the SE, the horizon is always wonky. It's never ever stable with the cheaper SE version. With this, you're going to get much more stable footage because it's got that gimbal built in when you're turning the drone as well. So yeah, it is a well-built little drone. It feels nice. It's plastic, obviously, but it needs to be. And the gimbal itself is pretty good. You know, it's pretty good for you know, a cheaper model drone. So I'm just going to put the gimbal protector back on now because I don't want to damage it as I'm doing my review video, because the worst thing you could do is damage your gimbal. And yeah, so in terms of the actual build, it's exactly the same. It just looks like the SE, it feels like the SE, except it does have the gimbal built in, and it does have the gimbal protector and also the nice strap that comes along with it as well, in order to keep it steady as you're sort of storing it away. Okay, so let's get into the actual flight, some of the flight information. So as I said, I've not flown it an awful lot yet. Obviously we live in Britain, so the weather has been a little bit rubbish. We've had wind, incredibly strong wind storms and stuff like that. We've had a lot of rain. You know, every time I've took this thing out to fly it, it's been raining, or it's been windy, or it's been snowing, or it's been dark. You know, after work I can't fly it because it goes dark by the time I get out of work. So it's been tricky trying to get some flight times, but I have had it out a couple of times. I've taken it to the park. So here in this video you can see, I'm flying it around a local field, and you know, I'm pretty impressed. Now this flight video isn't great because I'm not really going for any particular footage or trying to be cinematic with it. I'm just literally flying it. But you can see, you know, even as I turn the drone and I'm traveling forward and backwards and upwards and downwards, the camera is a lot better already than the SE version was. So Potensic have done a really good job here at making that camera footage really steady and stable, and that is literally the only issue I had, with the SE, was that it did not record any stable footage whatsoever. Okay, so one thing that I did do, and I'll show you the footage of it, this was recorded as a screencast on my phone, is I did try and take off outside my house, and what happened was I was taking off between two walls. So the house next door was to the left of me, and my house was to the right of me, and that is my driveway. So the end of my driveway is an entry between two houses. It's quite wide, it's about the width of like a living room, if you like. And as I was taking off, because it either hadn't acquired GPS signal or it lost GPS signal, it took off and then it drifted, and it didn't hit the wall. It just sort of nudged the wall, but then what happened is it fell into my son's football goal, and obviously then the propeller blades were just caught by the string on the football goal, and it fell to the ground and crashed. And this was the result. So I had a few propeller blades that were just torn to pieces, so I did have to change them before I took it out again. After that crash, the gimbal wouldn't operate. So in this video here, you can see I'm flying it up again, and actually the gimbal is just pointing down. So I literally panicked. I thought, oh my God, have I broken the gimbal? It wasn't really a crash. It was a very gentle, just sort of knock to the ground. It didn't even fall or hit the ground. So it wasn't like it had crashed into a wall or it had smashed into the ground. It literally hit the wall slightly gently, not the camera, just the edge there, and then fell into the goal. And then the goal sort of caught it and is suspended into the goal there. So it didn't actually touch the camera. But then when I got it down from that second flight I've just shown you, I then did reset the drone. I turned it off and on again, and the gimbal was fine. So it's almost as if the gimbal just sort of stopped operating because it had reached its limit or something like that, and then it just stopped and gone into floppy mode or whatever. I'm sure that's not a mode on a gimbal, but you know what I mean. It deactivated so it didn't get damaged when it's trying to force its way out of something. And when I switched the drone back on, it was absolutely fine. And I've since flown it and it's been all right. So luckily it was just a one of them things. Okay, so far so good. So the next time I took it out was the time I flew it on the beach. This is the footage of the drone flying on the beach, and you can see, it's nice. We're recording in a nice location here, and you can see that it is flying really well. As I'm approaching, looking out over the bay there, and just sort of trying to get some nice cinematic footage. It was a windy day here as well. And it was actually quite dark too, so you can see on the footage, despite it being sundown, the footage was surprisingly quite nice considering the light was diminishing quickly. It was a lot darker than what it looks like on the camera here. And you can see the drone's flying quite steady, but also the camera footage is really nice. It's quite steady, there's no shakiness, there's nothing jolting around or jerking around. It is capturing that really nice cinematic video footage that I wanted to get from a drone. So yeah, all in all, just a quick initial review of the Potensic Atom 4K with 3-axis gimbal. I've not gone through any of the settings, I've not shown you me flying it, I've not given you any examples of how the different modes work and all that type of stuff. It's just a quick video to follow on from my previous one where I said I was returning the SE to get this. I will do another video of me flying it around, showing you the settings and how to use it. I will put that up at some point when I've had a little bit more experience with the drone. But my first impressions, much better than the SE, so much better. In fact, I would probably recommend not even considering the SE if you want steady camera footage. This is great. Also, this is not that much more expensive than the SE. In fact, I think it was about £40 more. So not a lot more just to get that gimbal. Much bigger improvement. Well done to Potensic. I think they are still releasing further releases of the Atom. This is quite old now. I say old, I think is it around a year old or something like that? Anyway, yeah, so it's much better than the SE. You actually do get steady footage from it. The camera itself, in general, from what I've seen so far, is decent. It's not incredible. You can see on some of the footage that I've put up in this video, you can see some of the shadows are quite dark. But when it's nice and bright, the camera is fairly decent. It's quite sharp in most cases, but it's not going to be perfect at this price range or this level, is it? It's going to be, so there's compromises there in the camera. But for me, I think it's perfectly fine. It's definitely 4K, true 4K. It's not like something you buy off Amazon for 50 quid that claims it's 4K, and it's actually not. It does look, so far anyway, like proper 4K footage, so that's impressive. The camera is quite sharp. The footage off it is quite nice. Even in lower light conditions, I'm getting decent little footage from it. So I'm impressed with it. Final point, and mostly in response to the previous video where I reviewed the SE and said I was sending it back to get the Potensic Atom 4K. People were asking, why didn't I just get a DJI? Well, I don't know, to be honest. I was looking for a beginner's drone. I was initially looking at the DJI Neo. For some reason, I was put off the DJI Neo because I saw a few videos on YouTube of people showing the video content on it, and I wasn't all that impressed with what was coming off it. I've not flown a DJI Neo, I've never used one, so I don't know whether I'm fair there, but I didn't really like what I was seeing off it, and there's some of the features on it, you had to pay extra to get the controller and all that type of stuff. I just thought, to be honest with you, I don't want the Neo. Then I started looking at the DJI Mini 4K, which I really like the look of, but again, by the time you got the Creator Combo set, it was looking really expensive in compared to something like this, because I wanted to create a combo set, because I'm a little bit of a nerd like that. I can't just buy the drone, just fly it around. I want the extra batteries, and I want the bag, and I want the extra bits that you get with it. So I wanted to create a combo set, but the 4K was just a bit too expensive. And also anything more than the 4K, like the DJI Mini, whatever we're up to now, they're just too expensive for my current ability with drones. I'm a new drone flyer, don't have much experience. I don't want to go out and spend 700 quid, 600 quid, 500 quid on a drone that I might crash, or I might lose, or I might just damage. I know this was 300 quid, but it was 300 quid that I had in Amazon vouchers for Christmas. So I wanted to get something off Amazon, so that's one of the main reasons. And the price that I was getting on Amazon for some of the DJI stuff, I didn't have enough with the vouchers that I had, so I just basically had loads of birthday and Christmas vouchers on Amazon. That's people that bought me, and I wanted to use them to buy the drone. So that's one of the main reasons why I bought the Potensic Atom, because it does get good reviews and it is a decent drone. Now, I'm not certain yet, because I've not had any longevity with it, and there's been a couple of shaky moments, such as the GPS going on that first flight and it flying into the wall. When I had the SE as well, I first flew onto the beach and I reached the height limit because I was in beginner mode, and it then flew off on its own up into the sky, up to like 350 feet, and I had my hands off the controller. There's little things like that, obviously, you probably wouldn't get with DJI. So I need some longevity, I need some time with it to make sure it's actually quite decent. And when I do eventually get there, I will then invest in a more substantial drone, a DJI. Obviously, I've not gone for the DJI, I've gone for the Potensic Atom 4K. I do think it's a good competitor to DJI. I think they've got a bit of work to do with, you know, some signal loss and things like that from what I've read. But I mean, to be honest, when you're flying it, it's pretty decent. It's really good little drone, and I've got no issues with it so far. So I will put a second review video up just to sort of get more experience with it and then go through some of the features. But I think I've made a good choice, because I got the Creator Combo Pack as well as the drone and the gimbal that comes with it and stuff like that compared to the SE. 300 quid on Amazon for the whole package. I thought that was pretty good. So let's see how it does. Let's see how it goes over the next few months, particularly as we come to summer when I can fly it a bit more. And I'll do another video then. So thank you for tuning in. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Obviously, I'm probably going to get more comments on why I didn't just go for a DJI drone. I didn't, and there's no reason for that. I went for the Potensic because I thought it looked good. Time will tell. You might be right. I might be right. I like this drone so far, but I've never flown another one, so I don't know a lot. But I like it. It seems decent enough. So let me have some time with it to fly it. Eventually, I probably will buy a DJI, because I am a huge fan of the DJI stuff. I'm currently filming this video on a DJI Pocket camera anyway, so I'm a big fan of the DJI stuff. I know the cameras are quality, so I know the drones, and they are the leading brand in drones. But I did want to give the Potensic Atom a go, so here I am. I'll let you know in a few weeks whether I made the right decision. Thank you for tuning in. Please like the video, comment any comments you've got or any questions, and please subscribe to my channel to help me grow further and further and further, and I can review even more stuff then, because when I get to a certain level of subscribers, I can then message companies and ask if I can review certain products, and if I get more and more subscribers, then I'm more likely to get more things to review. Didn't get this sent to me, unfortunately. I did have to buy it, but maybe one day I will. Thank you for tuning in. I really appreciate your support, and I'll see you on the next one.